I'm Katelin, this is Anna, and we're here to debate net neutrality. Let us lay out the situation for you.
Net neutrality is the understanding that no matter who you are or what service provider you have, you get equal access to the internet. According to the FCC's 2010 Open Internet Order, internet service providers do not have the right to charge a different amount depending on what people do on the internet. Time magazine wrote an article about net neutrality in 2013 that described how the order approached net neutrality in 3 rules. 1. The order requires ISPs to be transparent about how they handle network congestion. 2. The ISPs are prohibited from blocking traffic such as Skype or Netflix on wired networks. And 3. The order outlaws unreasonable discrimination, meaning the ISPs can't push such services into an internet slow lane in order to benefit their own competing services. So it's like this. Think of net neutrality as the same as the ability of people in the United States to travel from state to state without a passport.
But today, net neutrality is on the chopping block. On one side, the common internet user sees net neutrality as a privilege. Why should we be charged based on what services we use? They say. They're so used to the internet being a free and open place that the thought of restrictions and changes is one that seems to violate privacy and freedom. On the other, internet service providers like Comcast and AT&T are sick of search engines like Google and Yahoo using their pipes for free. Shouldn't they have the right to charge appropriately if someone is hogging all the bandwidth?
That may be the case, but striking down net neutrality is a slippery slope. There is a lot of vague language in the proposed legislature that leaves too many doors open. In its current form, the rules, which were proposed in December of 2014, ban large cable companies like Comcast from forcing individuals to pay tolls to have their data reach customers and or make users pay separate toll to receive the data. And the whole idea is to prevent these already ultra-rich corporations from profiting off of the advances of others. But there's really no cut and dry way of quantifying what constitutes extraordinary use. For example, almost everybody who has an iPhone has used FaceTime, but because it uses live streaming, there's a high data demand. And to cut back on the cost that it incurred as a result of people using FaceTime, AT&T blocked its use in 2012. And from a business perspective, it's easy to say that AT&T shouldn't have to pick up the bill for Apple's innovations. But on the other hand, you have ordinary people who are encumbered from using a service that's considered commonplace to most. It's an undue obstacle to using a regular service that most people count on. If it's permissible for ISPs to decide which online activities they will and will not cover, we could someday be looking at a pay-per-play model on sites like YouTube and Netflix to compensate the companies for the extra data use. While current versions of the proposed law would allow businesses to regulate internet use in a commercially reasonable way, it's not the fault of people that markets and technologies are shifting to require higher data use, and there is a good faith understanding between customers and internet service providers that they have adequate coverage with the plans to which they are already subscribed and will not have to pay other fees. People already pay for their internet connection, and to end net neutrality would mean that they also have to pay for how they use their internet connection. Other industries that would suffer besides individuals, tech startups, for example. A service like YouTube or Hulu has enough funding to pay for the high data demands to back their streaming service, but a newer video streaming site would not be able to even get its foot in the door if it were made to pay for its data use. Net neutrality means establishing a safe zone or a guideline of common usage that protects average users from the whims of ISPs. It's different than paying for premium content, most of which is purely for entertainment, because it ensures that users will not face any undue obstacles in their everyday use of the internet. It makes sure that ISPs cannot play favorites on who can publish or reach content.
Now, I disagree. Quite frankly, it was only a matter of time until the model that traditional media like newspapers and television follow until that reached the internet. The internet has always been free. That's why users have an argument. Sign up for your cable internet phone and you're free to roam. So let's look at cable TV. There's limitations on the services that you use. If you want to watch HBO, you have to pay extra. If you want to watch Stars, you have to pay extra. If you want to watch the NFL Network, you have to pay extra. Services that seem as though they're the same as all of the other channels, you have to pay extra for them because they're established or they're understood to be premium services, like Anna mentioned. And quite frankly, it's about time for internet service providers to be able to charge for them and to be able to dictate what people are charged based on what they're doing on the internet. Here's another example. If you want to watch the Watch ESPN app, then you need to choose from a list of 14 cable providers. And if you're not in that area for that particular cable provider, or your cable provider doesn't support the Watch ESPN app, you're kind of out of luck. And that's essentially what the internet service providers are looking to do. ISPs have set up their pipelines, and search engines like Bing and Google and services like Skype and YouTube, they're just using it for free, and so are the users. It's like toll booths. Yes, they piss everyone off, but there's a necessary evil. You pay the toll, we can fix the highway, you get a better experience when you're driving the Mass Pike, for instance. If you live in the Northeast, you know what I'm talking about. Internet service providers are not seeking to limit free speech on the internet or restrict users from using the applications they're used to. They're simply tired of giving up their highways for free. The ability to dictate what travels on their pipelines will give ISPs the ability to police and secure their services and make them even better. If they had control over what people are doing on their pipelines, wouldn't it be easier for them to control the quality of their service or the quickness with which users use the internet? It's like when you go to the gym. Let's talk about gym memberships. I can pay $10 for my gym membership. So can Anna. Anna can pay $10 for her gym membership, and we can use it as we wish. But if I want to go to a gym in Glastonbury and also go to the one in Rocky Hill, I have to pay $20 because there's more services involved in that. Isn't it the same thing?
I think it's sort of the same thing in a way, but you could also kind of equate it to having to pay for your gym membership to have access to the gym, and then once you go into the gym, having to pay again to use the machines. If we come back to your example of the highways, we are paying to have the roads fixed in our taxes, and if you charge people a toll to use the road, you're effectively charging them for something that they're already paying for. And there's no way to get around it in the case of the highway. And if internet service providers are able to, as you said, police the content that goes through their pipelines, there could be some very real limitations for what people can and can't access online.
I see your point. I think part of the future of the internet, this might be a necessary evil, but that's the argument of the internet service providers. I see the side of the users. It's freedom. It's freedom to do whatever I want on the internet, which I'm used to doing. And someone's coming in and telling me what I have to pay for and what I shouldn't have to pay for. That's not fair to me since I'm used to using it for whatever I want. But those are the two arguments, the pro and the con side, and we see them both, and we'll see what the future holds.